Okay, so this episode is going to be a coalition, a collage, a conglomeration, a combination, whatever C word is appropriate for what I'm about to discuss. And it's going to be a marrying of what I've been talking about over the last couple of months. Some of it might seem repetitious if you have been a regular listener. And I'm about to repeat myself here by saying the reason why I repeat things in different ways is because that is how you learn, or more appropriately, that is how you remember. Now, what do I mean by that? So, a couple of people have sort of reached out to me and said, thank you for teaching me. And I'm always sort of apprehensive about that label because I don't consider myself a teacher. I am not a teacher. My job here is to remind you of things that you already know, deep in your heart, that you already know. And it's becoming more and more clear. Same thing has happened to me when I read. When I read certain books, when I come across certain books or certain books come across my path, and I sort of listen to, what is being said by the author, it doesn't feel like a revelation. It feels more, a lot of the things that I have been exposed to from reading feels more of a memory, like, aha, like, oh yes, that feels familiar. This feels familiar. This feels good. I can accept this. This works. Yes, this is exactly what I've been thinking and couldn't find the right words to say, or I've been saying this for ages and I can't believe this author actually took the time to write out almost verbatim what it is that I've been thinking. Now, I've obviously played with the idea of time, being, or I should say of myself not experiencing time in a linear way. And by playing with the idea, I mean I fully believe that I don't experience time in a linear fashion. And this is not to say that I'm special in any way, shape, or form. I believe that what I am tapping into is something that all humans are fully capable of doing. However, we are born into a society that has encouraged us to perceive ourselves as limited human beings and to perceive ourselves through limitations. So when people say, I do this, or I've experienced this, or I've seen this, your first sort of thought for most people is to doubt it, right? Even if it's happening to you. My regular listeners, if you go back even a year ago, and I sort of, when I sort of discussed my experiences with time, you could hear the self-doubt. And you could also hear me sort of fighting with myself, right? Fighting with my persona, right? That, no, I'm not crazy. I know what the fuck I'm talking about. And eventually you will hear the full-on just acceptance of what is. That's what this podcast is, guys. Like, it's an inner exploration of sort of my journey and your journey as well. You would not be listening to this, right? If there wasn't in this, you would not have sought me out had you not already found me at what I was putting out there. And when I say was, I mean like in the future as well, as in the past and the present, right? What I was and am putting out there wasn't resonating with you, wasn't vibing with you. If you weren't on the same frequency, the same vibration, right? Like it's all energy. So you're listening right now because you're on the same page and I'm just speaking to you, right? And all you're doing is seeking affirmation of what you already know. That's it. All you're doing, it's all I've done in all the books that I've read, and I've read a lot. All I've been doing is seeking affirmation of what I've already known. And that is because we come into this world. I guest starred in one of my friends' podcasts on YouTube. His name is Eli. What's up, Eli? I know you're listening. Shout out to Eli. And I was listening to an episode he just put out. And I remember I listened to what I had said. And I said, think of a duck, like a newborn duckling, right? It's born. And the first image it sees is its, mother. And so it imprints on this first image. It's typically, a mother duck. And then it just follows that duck around. And so that is their mother. But sometimes the ducks sort of misfire and they imprint on like a human or imprint on something that is not their mother. But it doesn't matter if that's not their mother. Once they've imprinted, that's it. And I use the analogy that the human mind has sort of imprinted onto Earth, and Earth being its mother, right? And my argument here is that even though Earth is where we live, it is not our mother, right? It might be the mother of our physical bodies, but it's not the mother of our consciousness that has existed prior to being uploaded into our simulation. If you're just tuning in, I full on subscribe to the simulation hypothesis. So that is what I will be speaking from. That ideology is what sort of echoes throughout my podcast. So just bear that in mind. So we have had certain ideologies imposed upon our minds, imprinted upon our minds as far as what we are capable of. And the thing is, belief is powerful. The mind is powerful. If you believe you are incapable of something, then you will not be able to accomplish or do it. If you believe that you are capable of something, then you will be able to accomplish and do it. Flat, just period, end of story. And I had talked about this particular situation in previous episodes, and it came up in a book that I was reading today. I just finished reading it. And the quote was about the 4-minute mile. So basically, prior to 1954, no one, and this is history, of course, and you know how history goes, right? So we want. I'm saying no one, but I'm putting no one in quotes. So no one had ever been able to run a mile faster than 4 minutes until a neurologist and athlete, marathon runner by the name of, I believe his name is Roger Bannister. He was able to beat it. He ran a mile under 4 minutes. I think he ran it in about 3 minutes and 59 seconds or so, just under 4 minutes. And then from that point on, once other people realized, oh, wait, a person can do it, right? Once people realized that it was possible, then other people, I believe it's been like 60 plus people since then, have been able to run a mile under 4 minutes since then. So before then, if history is to be believed, there are some, I think when I looked on Wikipedia, they said that there were other people who had also, like I think in the 1700s, who had also run a mile faster than 4 minutes. But general consensus, if you would ask the average person prior to that moment of this guy, at least to general knowledge, breaking the 4 minute, mile record, you would ask the normal person, right? An everyday person, hey, is it possible for a human being to run faster than 4 minutes? Most people, 99% of people would have said it is impossible. You guys know how I feel about that word. It's ridiculous. Nothing is impossible. If it can be imagined, then it is possible. Your mind would not be able to, our mind is incapable of conceptualizing the impossible. It's just, when will it be possible? That's something completely different. And if all the time is happening at once, it is possible some when. Some when is my new favorite word, by the way. So I will be using it quite often. So if you guys are interested in how to reshape your mind, reacclimate your brain towards what you are capable of rather than what you have been programmed to believe that you are capable of. I'm about to spout off a list of books that I've read within the last 2 weeks that I think you would get a lot from and you would greatly appreciate. Think of it as if you wanted to, if we are in a simulation, right, and you have, been programmed to live like a particular sort of blueprinted life, like your mind is now kind of operating within a performed function, right? Just like your cell phone, right? You get an iPhone and it behaves a certain way, right? The font's all the same across the board. It's all programmed to be a particular way, right? Now you're like, hey, I want to jailbreak my mind, right? I want to sort of take this thing for a ride. I want to see what this brain, what this mind, what this body is capable of. I'm about to tell you some books that I've come across within the last 2 weeks that have helped me start jailbreaking my mind. And then actually, I'm going to write that down, Jailbreaking the Mind, just because I think that's going to be the title for this episode. I like that. That's dope. But I'm going to give you a list of books so far that I've come across. And I know just the way my life is set up, I'm going to come across more books, which I will happily share with you. I've had a couple people hit me up on TikTok and Instagram, jolie.artist on TikTok and at jolieartist on Instagram. Trying to find out like what am I reading? Do I have a list put together? Here's a list, guys, and it's only for people who listen. Haha. Exclusive. Okay, so here's the list on how to start really jailbreaking your mind. Now I'm telling you this information, okay? Don't be like, okay, I got the books or whatever, and then don't do shit with it, because what's the point? Right? Don't become a slave to the machine. If you're really trying to jailbreak your mind, right, you need to read these books. And like I said in my live, which I did not upload last week, I probably should. I've been overthinking some stuff, but what I did say is, you've gotta just get like audiobooks and listen. Okay. And don't listen at regular speed, because sometimes these narrators like are really fucking slow the way they talk, whatever. Don't listen at regular speed. Bump that shit up to 1.5x, 2x speed. Train your mind to listen to something fast. You're not going to get everything, the first listen. Okay. And if you use an audiobook as a meditation, it helps you train your mind as well. So I have worked up, and I mention this pretty much every podcast, because I want to tell you, it's like the 4-minute mile. I want you guys to know that it's possible. I'm not exceptional. I'm not special. I'm a human being. So you have the same capabilities that I do, right? But if somebody doesn't tell you that it's possible, then you won't believe it's possible. So I'm telling you, it is possible. I have done it. I do it every day. I listen at 3.5x speed. Sometimes 3, if it's like a female author, I realized, or a British author, and I don't know why, because I like British accents, but I don't know why I feel like I need to drop it down. But I rarely listen to books slower than 3x speed, and I fully comprehend what is being said. And if it is a female author or a British author and I want to listen at 3.5x speed, like I push myself past my comfort level, what I do is I take headphones, plug that shit directly into my ear holes, directly into my brain, because I'm uploading this information. And what happens is you treat it as a meditation. So for those of you who think a meditation is something woo-woo or whatever, it's not. It's a focal exercise, right? So your mind starts to wander, you bring it back. Your mind starts to wander, you bring it back. But you can do this with audiobooks. And I listen to audiobooks when I'm painting. And I listen to it at 3.5x speed when I'm painting. And when my mind wanders off the book to whatever bullshit my mind wants to talk about, I pause it and I rewind it back. I have it set to go back a minute. And I'm constantly doing this. So what happens is not only is my subconscious absorbing the information while my conscious mind wanders to whatever bullshit thought it wants me to think about, but when I rewind it, it's repeating the same section over again, right? So now my conscious mind, is digesting the information. So it's really getting ingrained into me. And the beauty of that is that in a very short amount of time, I can go through books and get kind of, the general understanding of what these books are talking about, and start to change my life, but then go back and re-listen to it the second time and then a third time, so I can really master what is being discussed, right? So it's a different way of learning, so that now a book, if I would have listened at regular speed one time, I can listen to, like, let's say it takes me a week to get through a book, right? If I was listening at regular speed, I would never listen at regular speed, because it's inefficient at this point. In that same, let's say week, I can listen to that same book 4 times, right? So another person can listen to that same book, once, and then they're like, okay, they got it. I can listen to that same book now 4 times and practically memorize what is being discussed in the book. And now I have absorbed it, not only on a conscious level, but also on a subconscious level, because even when I listen to it the second or third time, my mind still wanders and then I bring it back. So I'm absorbing this information to the point now I am dreaming about a lot of these things that I'm reading about, and I'm solving problems as I dream. It is possible. I'm telling you it's possible. I have no reason to lie to you. This is it. It is what it is. So here's a list, how to jailbreak the mind. I guess the first list, okay? Start. My personal favorite, and I've been, pumping this the last couple of weeks. It's Neville Goddard, The Complete Reader. Get this on. Just don't bother with the physical books. Listen, I'm going to get to the list, but I need you guys to understand. A book is merely an invention. That's it. Somebody decided, hey, you know what? We can actually write information down and then utilize that to pass information from generation to generation. And that's cool. I'm glad the books exist. They're out there. Do your thing. However, if people in the past had access to, like recordable voices, like tape recorders and now like audiobooks and stuff like that, and cell phones like we do now, they would more than likely would have just recorded information and then passed it on that way. Because bear in mind, oral history was what a lot of cultures that's how a lot of cultures passed on information, memorized information and passed it on from generation to generation. The human mind was capable of being able to memorize things much, much greater than we are capable of doing now. Almost, it's actually, it's become sort of detrimental. Case in point, anybody over like 28 to 30, there was a time when you used to have to memorize everybody's fucking number. Remember that? And you knew everybody's phone number, your mom, your dad, your mom, your parents' phone number, right? Your school's phone number, your friends, your best friend's house phone number, businesses, you knew it. It was all in your head. Now, if I told you, like, what's your best friend's phone number? You would be like, I don't know. The only persons, I know 2 people's phone number off the top of my head. That's my mother and my husband. I barely know my dad's phone number, and I barely know my own brother's phone number. So I'm telling you right now, like, it's not that we are incapable of remembering things or memorizing whole books, right? People used to do it in the past because necessity made it so that they had to do it. It's just that once you have a technology or an invention, your brain goes, oh, wait, I don't have to do that anymore. And then you kind of lose the ability to do that. So I'm not shitting on physical books. If I really enjoy a book, I will buy a physical copy as well. But I'm saying, like, if you genuinely want to take this information, you listen to podcasts, you learn from podcasts. You wouldn't have listened this far unless you, like a person who loves getting information that way. Your brain, that is how your brain has been sort of like programmed to learn information. All right, so take advantage of that. More importantly, too, it's just easier to focus on what is being said than a book in front of you. There are very few people now, because of what essentially the internet is doing to our brains, right? This constant flipping and scrolling, that's not good. I've spoken about this, previously in past episodes, that the internet is really, really messing up our brains or whatever. And we're losing an ability to focus on things for like long periods of time. So the fact that you made it this far, if you're a regular listener, like I know that there are people who literally will sit and listen to a whole hour of my podcast. Thank you. But there are some people who are like, probably like they get 15 minutes in and they're just like, distracted, right? That's not good. Don't allow your mind to, it's 1 hour, like relax, and here's the thing. I listen to my own podcast, but you can speed it up. So get in the habit of speeding things up. And then what that does is it forces your mind to focus. It forces your mind to focus, because if it's going too fast, right? Super fast, or maybe you feel like it's fast, then you can't allow your mind to wander because you want to focus on what is being said. So I strongly encourage you guys to please check out audiobooks. Like, I'm not going to push any particular provider because they're not paying me. Just kidding. But you guys know who, my favorite audio, book company is, and that's that. But there are others, and some people utilize libraries as well. As long as they have the ability to kind of speed things up a little bit, I strongly recommend that. I want you guys to like grow with me. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not trying to lead. I'm trying to form a tribe. Right. And even in the comments section, like, start talking to each other and connecting with each other, because the people who are discussing the things that I'm talking about and that you're thinking about, we need to connect more with each other, because we're the ones who have been set to create a better world. We are the creators. Okay. So, let's serve our purpose. All right. So first book, Neville Goddard, the complete reader. I mentioned that quite a few times, and I will keep mentioning it because it is amazing. I always say skip the first chapter, especially if you have some sort of like a pre-aversion to like religious, like programming or dogma or whatever. And the only reason I said that is because when I first started reading the first chapter, I was like, what the hell is this? And I thought it was like a religious book, like a Christian book. And I was like, really, like it triggered stuff in me because of my past. But I'm grateful that I kept, listening. You can always go back to the first chapter, but you could just jump to like the second chapter and kind of start listening. I would recommend that. Now, the second book is Quantum Jumps by Cynthia Sue Larson. I will start by saying too, you don't have to take everything these authors say like as creed. You get what I mean? When you listen, pay attention to how you feel in your heart. There's just stuff that's going to resonate as truth, and then there's stuff that you're going to feel like uncomfortable with. The stuff you feel uncomfortable with, it's okay. Just take the information with, and like separate the good from the bad, or what you feel is bad or whatever. Just listen to what makes you go, oh shit, right? So nothing in this world is perfect. So even a book, you're not going to agree with everything an author says. I just started by saying, like, even Neville Goddard's Complete Reader, like, ignore the first chapter, because it didn't resonate with me. So what you want to do is listen actively for stuff that's going to resonate with you, that's going to start expanding little parts of your mind. That pain that you feel in your head a little bit, where it's like something that challenges your perception, that's good. That's you're breaking bonds. You know what I mean? You're freeing your consciousness. You're creating space for your consciousness to start kind of shining through. Right? So those are good things. To use that analogy. Another book, Physics of the Soul by Amit Goswami. And he is a PhD. He is a physicist, and he wrote this very interesting book. Like I said, you're not going to agree with everything that he talks about, but that's okay. These are mind expanding, mind breaking, consciousness, enlightening books. I don't know. But they're books that I have enjoyed and intend to go back and reread as well. Parallel Universes of Self, or Parallel Universe of Self by Frederick Dodson. Once again, listen with an open mind. You don't have to take in everything that they're talking about. That's not the purpose of this. Okay. The Reality Revolution by Brian Scott. Okay. That's a good one too. The Power of Your Subconscious Mind by Joseph Murphy. You Are the Placebo by Joe Dispenza. And Reality Transurfing by Vadim Zeland. I'm pretty sure I brutalized that. And the last one, the reason why I said that for last is because when I listened to Reality Transurfing, I did feel, especially after like all the other books that I read, I did feel that his writing had a bit of like an edge to it, a little bit like a negative slant. Like there was a lot of stuff that I felt like he was sort of pushing out of, like, it was like it would trigger sort of a fear response, or, you know what I mean? I did not like that. So when you listen to that particular book, just listen, like I said, take the information that benefits you, okay? You don't have to accept everything that he said, but these are ideas, and these authors have put together books that will help you remember what you already know. Okay, if it doesn't sit right with you, throw this shit out. You don't have to accept everything, right? It doesn't all have to resonate with you. Okay, so just do what sounds right, what feels right. Just listen to what feels right for you. Okay, moving on. I had this conversation about potentiality and essentially what came first, right? So we have this conversation, we say, like, what comes first, the chicken or the egg, right? And I want to follow up with that with, what comes first, the seed or the plant, right? Because I believe, or I subscribe, I don't like the word believe, but I will use it because it's force of habit. Because I subscribe to the simulation hypothesis, right? If somebody asked me what came first, I would say the chicken. The reason why I would say the chicken is because if I'm a programmer, right, and I would go and design the creature first, yeah? I will design the creature first, like what it will become. I will create right now. And then I would design an egg, right? Just like in any video game, right? You can, have an egg, then it will eventually hatch and then grow into like, a creature or whatever, right? They have video games like that. I can't think, like Mario Brothers, right? And Yoshi, right? But you design it as a designer, you design Yoshi first. You don't design the egg first, right? Yeah, and that's why eggs pretty much look the same across the board, even though the creatures are different, right? But the concept of the egg is something that holds potential, right? That's all the egg is. It's just a potential, right? But what it actually is, like that, the thing that it will become, like the thing it could potentially become, you have to conceptualize first. Okay? So what came first, the chicken or the egg? Obviously, the chicken, right? Because eggs are commonplace. Creatures are not. What came first, the seed or the plant? Well, seeds are commonplace. Plants, are not, right? You have different types of plants. So you have to decide, okay, I want a sunflower, seed or whatever, but I need to know what I want a sunflower to look like. And even in the terminology, sunflower seed, right, should tell you that, okay, the sunflower comes first. It's already been conceptualized. I honestly never understood why people are like, well, what comes first? Like, it's really like a circular, because it's really not. Common sense would tell you that you would create what you wanted something to be first, and then you can kind of conceptualize a way to make it so to speak. So listen to what I just said like a few times, because that's fun to really think about, and it's why I love the simulation hypothesis, because it makes the most sense. And I've said this in previous episodes, and I'll say it again. When the ancient Hindus said that life was Leela, life was a game, right? They used the analogy that made sense to them, right? When they called it a game, right? Because in a way, it is a type of game. When William Shakespeare, a playwright, said all the world's a stage, right? He's basically saying the same thing as, the ancient Hindus or whatever. It's a great game. We're all wearing, personas and masks, right? So the ancient Hindus called it the, your avatar, but it was basically your mask, right? And Shakespeare said, everybody's got, is wearing their mask. It's the same kind of concepts. And so now I say, okay, or people are saying, or, we say that we are in a simulation, okay? Now, if I went back in time with a PSVR and I gave it to William Shakespeare, he would say, so this is what I meant, right? This is a very, very elaborate. I don't know how to elaborate. It's a weird word. English is a weird language, but this is a very elaborate play. Which is, it's what a video game is. A video game is just a very elaborate type of play, right? It's a very elaborate sort of stage show, right? You're taking on a persona, right? You're taking on an avatar, right? You're uploading, in a way, your consciousness into a video game, and then you are playing through your avatar, your tune, your persona, right? But it's the same thing. So they're saying the same thing over and over and over again through time. It's just that the our technology continues to advance, and so we come up with different words for it, explaining the same thing. So in previous episode, I gave the whole sort of progression from fire, stories by the fireplace, to silent movies, to the movies from the 80s that are just unwatchable now, to what we have now, where the actors are becoming, they're like, it used to be when you would watch old shows and people would kiss, they would like kiss on they would kiss on the side of the face. They would never full on just lock lips. Now people are just straight up having sex on camera. Like, shit's weird. So what's the next step? Like, you're literally just gonna be able, we might not even have actors anymore. Like, it might be a blend. You heard it here first, guys. It may be a blend of like programmers and actors coming together, acting out these scenes, and then you buy a DVD and then you become, Joe Black or whatever, right? And you act out the emotions and everything like that. And for the 2 hours that you are, quote, watching the show, you are aware that you are, I talked about this on my other podcast, The Dark Oracle's Guide to the Multiverse. And I broke this down. So if you guys haven't checked that out, please check it out. It's 15 episodes, anthology. And what you could do actually is I recommend this. I would encourage you to do this actually. Start from the most recent episode. Don't start from the beginning. Start from the end and work your way back. Yeah. Start from the end and work your way back. One, because it's fun to play with time that way, and two, because it's easier to listen to that way and conceptualize things that way, or I should say to grasp the concepts discussed that way, and it gets more fun. So you might as well start at the fun. And in the beginning, it's a little bit more serious. Like I'm planting seeds, so to speak, but I'm leading up to a future point. So you might as well just go to the future point and then work your way back. You see how my mind works, guys? Come with me. It's cool. Like let's do it together. So yeah, essentially, so what's gonna end up happening is that, like pretty soon, like our screens just keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Like eventually you will just be in the screen, and we'll start blending VR with, movie technology. And so now actors will not only have to, Michio Kaku talks about this in one of his books, I think Future of the Mind. Not only will an actor just have to show emotions on his face, now we will be training actors to feel the anger, right? And then they would be able to record these emotions. And then next time you buy a video game, next time you buy a movie, you'll be able to feel what the character feels. Like I talked about, being able to play Iron Man, right? But that you're not Iron Man, right? But you'll be playing as Iron Man and feeling all of the things that he felt, the fear when he was in the cave, all of that, even to the terror that he felt right before he snapped his finger or whatever. If you're into that, I don't know. I don't think I could do that, but maybe, maybe I'm behind the times. Maybe the next generation of people will be able to do that, right? There's some stuff that we do now that our parents think, oh my God, like I could not do that. So who knows, And then the next step after that, like 100 years from that, is going to be you plug into a simulation. And not only are you able to play as Iron Man, now that part of your brain where you're not Iron Man, that you're just playing as Iron Man, somehow gets like deleted or temporarily pause. So the temporarily pause rather. And then you go into the video game, and for the 2 hours or whatever that you are playing, Iron Man, you believe that you are Iron Man. You know that you are Iron Man until obviously the snap, and then you emerge from the game and you're like, oh shit, like let's do that again. And I'm arguing that that's what's happening right now. We are in the future presently, and we are experiencing this sort of simulation. It's a quantum it's a quantum simulation, right? And if you're listening to this, I'm saying that at some point you chose an option to be reminded that you are in a simulation. There are certain fail safes within the simulation in case things start to get a little bit too real, where you can access certain Easter eggs or whatever you want to call it, right? Like certain access points within the game to remind you it's just a game, right? And that's there. And it's all kind of part of the simulation, okay? So that's my theory. I'm sure if you made it this far, it resonates with you. It certainly makes sense to me. But back to the artist and the art. So here's the thing. What comes first, the artist or the art? Yeah? What comes first, the artist or the art? I want to blend in what we talk about as far as what is impossible and not giving things enough time. Okay? So if you would have said, if I would have said to you when I was, let's say 17 or even 15, I'm an artist, but I had no art, would you have believed me? Probably not, right? You would have said, let me see your work. And I would have said, well, I have these sort of sketches or whatever, little drawings and doodles that I had made. But you would not have assigned that, label of artist on me, right? I had to produce the work. Yeah, right? I had to produce the work now, presently, for people to start going, oh, oh, you're an artist. And people still are like, wait, you're an artist? Like, yeah, that's my work, guys. In all of my TikTok videos and on my website and on my Instagram page, I'm an artist. Okay. Yeah. Right. But now here's the thing, like, what comes first, right? Is it the art or the artist? What makes an artist an artist? Is it their mindset or is it the work they create? Right. I really want you to think about that. Right. Because I would argue I've always been an artist, even when I was not creating, because it's not a matter of what I could produce. It's a state of mind, right? It's a creative state of mind. Yeah. So what I have sort of brought to fruition, right? Or I should say what I've materialized in our physical reality is evidence of what I always was. But that potential was contained within me at birth. Before I could speak, before I could pick up a pencil or whatever, that was contained within me as a goddamn seed, right? As a little embryo, okay? And by me, I mean my persona, right? And you could argue maybe even my consciousness. Maybe I'm always an artist in some way, shape, or form. I've said in previous episodes that I believe either a future version of me or a past version of me, one of them, happens to be a physicist, because there's a lot of bleed through. Why would an artist be interested in, physics to this level? But another thing that I say, and I have this on my TikTok, is science is art. So why wouldn't an artist be interested in quantum physics? It's art. Einstein wasn't great at math, but he was an artist. He saw the world in a different way. All right. So everything that I will become was contained within me as a potential, as a probability, as an embryo. Okay, all that needed to happen was sort of time, right? Time needed to sort of show you evidence of what I was. But at the end of the day, like, it's just like trying to like prove things to people. At the end of the day, I don't have to prove shit to anybody. Like, I'm an artist, you know what I mean? And I just, now things are sort of, I'm flowering, I'm producing, I'm bearing fruit. Right? So I was once a seed and now I'm bearing fruit. But that ability to bear fruit was always contained within me, the way a sunflower seed had contained within it the probabilities, right? The potential of becoming a flower, becoming a plant, right? So you pick up a seed and you look at it and you go, okay, I see what it could be, right? But it has to be under the right situations and under the right circumstances, right? If I take a sunflower seed, right, and I just leave it on the table, that's not the right circumstances. It's nothing's going to happen, right? You got to put it in darkness, right? You got to put it in the soil, right? You got to give it some moisture, right? You got to put it some light, yeah, and then eventually shit happens, right? And then it becomes what it always could be, right? The potential is contained within the seed. Okay, so I hope when I start talking about things like that, things start to sort of clicking. When I talk about things like, you would not seek me had you not already found me, or when I talk about this, make this decisions about desire. Yeah, what comes first? What comes first? What comes first? The desire for something or the experience? Guys, are you with me? Are you excited? Are you excited? Because I get excited talking about stuff like this. What comes first? I wish I could, I know you guys, some people see my TikTok videos and I'm just kind of doing my thing. But and I was going to film this, but my hair is wet. I don't have any makeup on. I just want to sit down and record the episode. It was fresh. I woke up with this in my mind. All the stuff I'm about to talk about, I woke up with it in my mind. And I know that I'll have more things to talk about at later points in time. I just want to get this out there. But when I talk about what comes first, desire or experience, you need to understand that when you have a desire for something, it's like a seed. It's like that sunflower seed. That experience is already in the desire. I'll say it again. Your experience, this is good. Yes. Your experience is contained within the desire, the way a plant is contained within a seed. It's a probability, right? You had the seed of a potential experience, right? And you call it a desire, right? So desire, I'm writing this down because this is this is just coming to me. Desire is simply a seed. Write it down too, guys. Write it down. Make it a what they call affirmation. Yeah, desire is simply a seed for a potential experience. Yeah? So the next time you desire something, I need you to visualize. So we've broken down ideas in the previous episodes. Now we're going to talk about desire. The next time you desire something, I need you to think about it as, okay, this is a seed. And contained within the seed of desire is the probability of me experiencing this thing that I desire, but I have to make sure that I create the right circumstances for this potential to become actualized, to become realized, right? Materialized. Hey, yeah. This is nice. Yeah, to become materialized. You feel me? So what comes first? Desire being the seed or the experience? Well, my argument here is what I'm saying to you guys is the experience comes first, right? You have to conceptualize the experience. Stay with me, guys. Like I talked about as a video game designer, okay? If I want to create a creature, right, I have to conceptualize the creature first, and then I contain it within the egg, right? In order to have a sunflower seed, right? I have to conceptualize the sunflower first, right? In order, for the seed to be able to bear fruit into what I want it to bear. And so, but it exists. This is just, I know I said, it's going to be repetitious, but like I'm repeating things in ways because I'm going to beat you over the goddamn head with it. I'm beating myself too, guys. I'm the number one listener of my own podcast. I don't sit and write stuff down. I just sit and I talk. Okay. And a lot of the times when I'm talking, it's because I've taken all this information from all these books and all my life experiences, not even just this present incarnation, but past and future incarnations as well. Right. So I've taken them all in and I'm just sitting and I'm just like, all right, let's go. Let's flow. More importantly. Right. And then as I'm talking, I'm also listening. So this is for me as well. I'm beating myself over the head too. So I'm here with you. Okay. You have the experience already in the future. Yeah. It is your experience, right? If it's something, I hate to make it material, but it is what it is. But let's make it material, right? Like let's not make it material. You want to be an author. Okay? You have the seed, and that seed is the desire. The seed is the desire. Yeah, you wouldn't have wanted to be an author, right? Were you not already an author? Or I should say, were it not probable, right? Were it not contained within you as a probability, right? Of you materializing, actualizing, realizing that experience. That's why you have the desire for it. The desire is the seed for that potential experience. Okay? It's funny because this was not what I was going to talk about. I wanted to talk more about aliens and negative thinking. But this works. This is fine. I'll do another episode maybe tomorrow or this weekend or whatever. But yeah. You would not have the desire for something unless it was already contained within you as a potential, right? But just like I said, if I gave you a sunflower seed, right? The seed doesn't just become a seed without any conscious effort on your part. So I'll say that again. The seed doesn't just become a plant, I should say. Let me restate that. The seed doesn't become a plant without any conscious effort on your part. You have to want it to, right? And you have to not only just want it to, like I can hold a seed. I have some marijuana seeds. I don't smoke weed, but I did go through a period where I did, like a few years ago, and I imported all these like seeds from Amsterdam or whatever back when it was against the law, and it's still federally illegal, guys. Just FYI. So I'm not encouraging you guys to do this, but I got a bunch of seeds from Amsterdam, and I still have them. Right now, if I wanted to, because this is why I have problems with people saying, "Oh, you just gotta manifest shit," and you can. No, you don't have to. That's not how that fucking works. So you don't just sit and think on it and go, "Oh, this is what I want to happen," and then it's gonna happen. No, okay. I can take a seed, or I should say, that's just not possible for humanity yet at this present moment. Okay, how about that? So I just checked myself. So it's not that it's impossible for you to take a seed. Yeah. And then focus your intention and say, you know what, I want this seed to turn into, a plant without having to follow the steps necessary to make that happen. It's probably possible in the future, right? And maybe there exists a human being that can do that. But for most of us, like most of us are just trying to lose weight and get the job that we want. Like, let's start with that level of stuff first before you're trying to be like an Avatar Airbender kind of thing. Okay. Like work up to that. Yeah. Baby steps. Right. So I didn't just go, okay, I'm an artist, so I'm just going to sit down and start painting like super, realistic portraits. No, like I had to sort of work through that. Now, did I have it in me to just sit and go, okay, like I'm going to just sit and paint super realistic portraits? Probably. But because of the bullshit sort of system that we've been mentally, programmed with that says that things have to take steps, unfortunately, things have to take steps. Now, maybe if you are like super, super like psychic, right? Your psychic energy, as a human being is well developed, right? You could skip a few steps and just think yourself to where you're trying to go. Kudos. But I guarantee you that is not the majority of people who are listening to this. So I'm not saying that's not impossible at all. In fact, I'm saying it's probably possible. Somewhen. And I imagine that if I have an idea, like I said in my previous episode, if I have an idea now, it's something that is ubiquitous in some future, right? There will be human beings. It's not impossible, right? I'm so happy I caught myself. It's not impossible. There will come a time when human beings will be able to mind over matter, go, I want this seed to turn into a plant, and it will happen. That would actually be a great idea for a sci-fi book or a short story. But it's just, we're not at that stage yet, right? We're not at that stage yet. So what you do, where we are right now, okay, is what you need to do. And what you need to do is, or I should say is what you need to focus on. What you need to focus on is you got to take the necessary steps. You got to take a necessary steps to turn that thing, right, that seed into, what you want it to be, right? To actualize it, to materialize it, take it from potential, transform it from potential to actuality. Yeah. And it's got to you got to get it to the right sort of circumstances, right? For it to become what it is, right? So you take an egg, right? The egg, in order for it to become a chick, needs to be fertilized. Get it? Right? And then it's got to, sort of, there needs to be warmth and all of that other stuff. I'm not a farmer, but, whatever stuff that, eggs need incubated or whatever in order for it to hatch into into an egg, the right temperature, all that shit, right? Like that's boom. Now you got a chick, but it's got to be, the necessary steps need to be taken. Yeah. Okay. Same thing with the seed, right? You don't just hold the seed and go, I want to manifest a plant. We're not there yet as a race. It exists, right? There are human beings that can do that. If you can imagine it, it is possible. Are there people around right now that could do that? Probably. Honestly, probably. But my guess is the majority of people who are listening to this, we're just not there yet. So I'm talking to the people who aren't, levitating and shit like that. Just people who are just trying to get their shit together. You know what I mean? Like they just want to write a book, or, they want to they want 6 figures in the bank, that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? They want to hierarchy of needs. Like they want to start taking care of base level stuff, before they want to start, levitating and stuff like that. So those are the people I'm talking to. If you are able to levitate and stuff like that, kudos to you. And thank you for listening this far. I appreciate you. Just being entertained by what I have to say. But for the rest of us, what I'm saying, like take it into heed, right? So I go, okay, I want to write. Okay, cool. And I want to write, I want to produce a show because I want to talk about these things, but I want to put it in a story, right? In stories where people, can conceptualize and start to sort of change their perception of reality. But the way you deliver these sort of messages is through story, because that's how the human mind learns. We love stories. But I have to write first. I can't just be like, oh, this is what I want. And then I just like put a picture of it on a vision board and then not do anything. Yeah. Like if I want to be a writer, I've got to write. Right? If I want to be an artist, yeah, I've got to create art, right? And it's not to say that I'm not already an artist, right? Because where would the desire come from? Somewhere, when I'm an artist. In fact, I have contained within me the potential to be an artist. I am an artist now, right? But I have to bear fruit, yeah? I'm a writer now. You are a writer now. But you have to bear fruit, right? You are the seed of a writer, but you have to put yourself in the right situation, the right circumstances, right? To turn that seed of desire, right? Of wanting to be a writer, yeah? And manifest that, but not in like the stupid way of like putting it on a board, but actually actualize it by taking the necessary steps, right? You want to write? Okay, write. That desire is the seed that's contained within you for you to become the writer. And I'm arguing you already are the writer somewhen. So just like when I was a kid and I would draw, yeah, me drawing, me expressing the desire to create, right, was a hint or should have been a hint to anybody paying attention. Like, oh, that's an artist. Yeah, because look, she's got the desire to draw, so she's an artist. Yeah, encourage that. Or whatever, right? So you have the desire. That's the seed. You have contained within you these seeds to do all these things. It's not just, my focus is like art or whatever, but, there's business owners, right? You have contained within you those seeds, right? And you know that they're seeds because it's a desire, right? So then just start doing it and don't doubt it. Right? Like, I never doubted my artistic ability. Not like actively, you know what I mean? Like, there's stupid bullshit, like in the creative process when you're painting and you're like, oh, this is shit. Like, this is garbage. This is trash. Like, what am I doing? I suck. I'm not talking about that, but like, I just knew like, this is just what like I was born to do. You know what I mean? So there's just stuff that you just know, like this is what you're born to do. And of course, that knowledge stems from the fact that even as a kid, it stems from the fact that I was always this artist now, right? I was always me. It was already contained within me as a potentiality, as a seed, right? What comes first? What influences what? Time isn't linear, right? You got to start looking at things differently. Okay? I think I beat that over the head, but listen to this episode a few times, you know what I mean? Like maybe skip the first 15 minutes or so, start from the end and work your way back. But this is important. It's important. I don't know who needed to hear this. This was not what I wanted to record. I actually was going to talk about negativity and negative thoughts. And actually I will. I've got like a few more minutes left in this. So I will kind of touch on that because this is important as well. Just a quick side note. I might delve in a little bit deeper. Feel free to comment if you would like me to, but I probably will delve in a little bit deeper in future episodes. But real quick, so there's two yous. If you haven't figured that already, there's your consciousness, right? Just like in a video game, right? There's you, the controller, right? Playing the game. And then there's you, the persona, like think Mario. Yeah. So Mario has his own sort of set of like characteristics, right? Just like Mario, like in the video game Mario, right? It has his own like personality, right? It's a me, Mario, whatever. He behaves in a certain way. So does Luigi, right? But you're not Mario. You're playing as Mario. Right? But bear in mind that don't get lost in the game. Okay? And then I've talked in previous episodes about a mind virus that has infected the simulation. And it's nothing nefarious. It's nothing I don't think that we couldn't, sort of handle as a society, right? As a race of humanity. And I don't think these things are even that, like that powerful, right? And a parasite, if you think about a parasite compared to a human body, it's not, that powerful. up until it is. Does that make sense? So if you can catch it, right, once at the early form, right, the beginning, yeah, you can sort of treat it and I should say have your immune system sort of take care of it. Yeah. Same thing. I think that humanity has been infected by the story I was going to tell was essentially imagine that we have been invaded. Humanity has been invaded by extraterrestrials, but not physical, right? On the astral plane, and they've attached themselves to our psyche through our consciousness. I talked about this in a previous episode, but I really wanted to delve into it and like go in and full blown like tell a story, a narrative that made it easier to sort of like the next time, so that when you catch yourself having these negative thoughts, you go, okay, Mario has a virus, right? Like, imagine Mario with like self-doubt, like you're holding the remote, yeah, and you want Mario to, jump over this pipe or whatever, but like Mario's like totally crippled with self-doubt, and it's like, I don't know if I could do this or whatever. So Mario's just standing there, and then your consciousness, right, that's playing through Mario, standing kind of holding the remote, trying to get Mario to go, but Mario's like kind of crouched down, panicking. While like a Koopa or whatever is like attached to him, wanting him to actually like die, or fall into like the pit or whatever it is, right? That's anxiety. But I wanted to do more with that because I think that if you start to, whether or not it's right, I don't know. These are theories. That's what the podcast is about. It's like what's going on in my brain and what I've been thinking about, and so food for thought, so to speak. But whether or not it's accurate, when you tell stories, right, the human mind has a way of taking what it needs from the story in order to improve itself. All right. So when I did my live, we're talking back and forth to people who were commenting. And then I said, what's your favorite show? And people got so animated. Like all of a sudden, like the chat like went wild and everybody was just typing in. And that's the power of storytelling, right? If I post something, all right, on like TikTok or whatever, like it's usually from a book, that I've read. But people will be like, that reminds me of this movie, or that reminds me of this like TV show. This reminds me of even like a video game, right? But that's the power of storytelling. And they've learned the same thing that like a physicist, knows, but they've learned it through the form of storytelling. So if I can find a way to tell a story about how the human mind has sort of been corrupted, yeah, that makes living a little bit easier, right? And more importantly, it allows your consciousness to come through and control the persona, control Mario a bit better, so that you can perform at your optimal right self. Yeah, that's what I want to do. So that was the intent of this episode, and it did not go that way. Not to say that this episode is not important. It is, and clearly what I wanted to do was overtaken by this one, because whomever was listening needed to hear this. So I'm just doing my part, being kind of the megaphone. So I hope this was helpful. I will do a separate episode on what I just talked about with the aliens, at least the story of aliens. And I'll try to figure out a way to say it in a way, where it's not too far-fetched, that it might actually be probable. Yeah. But all right, that's my time, guys. Thank you for listening. And I will see you around. Take it easy.